How goes the family? Welcome back to Patterson L Properties. Hopefully you guys are having a great day, staying safe and staying quarantined, because there's a lot of crazy things going on right now in this world in regards to the coronavirus, COVID-19. And all I can say is do your darndest to stay safe. We'll get through this. I know times are tough for a lot of people, especially with the last survey stating that 6.6 million people have applied for unemployment insurance. So we have a lot of rough days ahead of us, but we will get through this like we've gotten through every other financial crisis and epidemic on this planet Earth. But anyways, and definitely want to give respect to all the mission essential personnel when it comes down to the military, to the people working at the grocery stores, doctors' offices, medical facilities, hospitals, etc., police department, fire department, medics, you name it, the truck drivers, the people, the trash, people that pick up the trash. I mean, I could, janitors, I can go on and on. People who security officers, I go on and on. A lot of respect and love to the people that are out there, ensuring that the world continues to go around and take care of everybody, from people in social services. Like I said, I can go on and on. So definitely got to give respect and praise where it's definitely due. All right. But today's subject matter is actually talking about why overpricing your rental is not in your best idea. All right. Now, a lot of people like to do this for various reasons. And I read this article today that I actually came across, talking about the specific subject matter when it comes to real estate investors, landlords, etc., and so forth. And, from cap rates to cash on cash returns, there are a number of tools landlords and real estate investors use to determine whether or not a potential investment is a good one. And, at the end of the day, we run the numbers to see if it's worth our while, worth us dealing with. Is it going to be more headache? Is it going to cost us more, etc.? Is there real profit margin involved? We've seen it all across the United States of America, especially in all the major cities, where the rents have gone up and making it very unaffordable for working people. Now, for most landlords, it's all about the cash flow, but I implore you all out there, especially the financially literate landlords out there. I know raising rents can keep the integrity and the value of your property in line. For this reason, landlords and property managers that work for them often pursue the highest rental price that they can get, and I can understand that. However, with the COVID-19 crisis that we are all going through nationwide, worldwide, this could potentially put in a dent into all of this, in my personal opinion. And that's just, we got some rough days ahead of us, especially if you're a landlord, you know what I'm talking about. Especially if you're a person who's renting, you know what I'm talking about. So it goes on all sides, especially given the fact that the demand for rental properties is going up because so many people are out of work right now. And unfortunately, there could possibly be more foreclosures, and more landlords may actually end up cutting their rents to compete with one another. It's all about competition, just like what happened back in 2007, 8, 9 time frame. The foreclosures were through the roof and rentals were up. So if you were a landlord, in a sense, you were actually winning, in a sense, as long as you were financially literate at the time. And it seems like those might be the days, not as exactly, but that, a lot of people might not be able to recover from the COVID-19 crisis. So it just depends on the situation, and everybody's situation is different. So I'm not making any predictions. I'm just saying that this is a place we could definitely end up, unfortunately. And with there being more foreclosures and things of that nature, it's just going to turn into a crazy crisis at the end of the day. And it makes sense because at times, to raise rents in certain markets, it makes sense. But unfortunately, that pursuit often leads landlords to a common, if seemingly logical mistake: overpricing their rental property. The article stated that unless you are in an ultra-competitive market, or ultra-competitive part of a major city, we know places like New York and Los Angeles and Washington, D.C., the rents are not just expensive for the sake of it, but they're expensive because of the income that's made there. And that's what a lot of people are like, hey, all these people are making six-figure salaries, so we want to charge these six-figure rental prices. That's just the name of the game. And there's always this argument, well, if you go to other parts of America, especially middle America, or if you go down south, that, it's going to be cheaper. Well, usually most times the incomes don't match the rent. So I always say, if a person in Louisiana could charge the same amount of rent from a landlord's perspective that one does in Los Angeles, New York, or Washington, D.C., they would. Why? Because it's about the cash flow. Period. I've said that 1,000 times. They're not charging $500, $800, or $1,000, $1,200 a month because they love you. They're doing it because they know that's what people can afford. There's no point of being a landlord and renting a property if you're going to charge an outrageous amount of money that you know people can't afford. It's just what it is. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's business. Let's just be realistic about this, okay? But hey, it is what it is. Back to the topic at hand. The article stated that unless you are in an ultra competitive market, like I said, like a place like LA, but if you're in a place like Indianapolis, which I heard is actually, coming of age in a sense. But say if you're in like Indianapolis or Memphis and whatnot, you're not going to be able to charge the same amount of rents that you would because even Nashville is more expensive than Minneapolis, You're not going to be able to charge the same amount of rent as you charge possibly in Richmond, Virginia, Norfolk, Virginia, or, Northern Virginia, like Fairfax County, Prince William County. The rents are going to be higher because the incomes are higher comparing to the different areas, It's all about location, as they say, right? Okay. And you and the one thing is, it's like you don't want to overprice your property, and you definitely don't want to severely underprice your property. You always want to ensure that you price your property at the correct margins, that you be able to make a profit, pay the mortgage if you still have a mortgage on the place, and then go from there. Obviously, that's just how I look at it. It's highly unlikely that the rental amount your tenant agrees to will ever increase while negotiating the lease. Stated the article. If anything, it might go down. Especially with the times that we're in right now, The article recently really honed in on even when one wants to maximize the rental cash flow, but it really goes into three reasons why overpricing your Indianapolis or Washington, D.C. or your Atlanta, Houston, San Antonio, whatever, rental property is a horrible idea. And the article stated for these specific reasons. Number one, a high asking price can increase time on market. For example, if your 3-bedroom is listed at $1,400 a month and a potential renter clicked on your property because they are interested and it's a nice place. However, the potential renters find another place in the same area, same size home, the whole nine, and the rent is at $1,200, and that's just landlords doing the smart thing of somewhat undercutting, the actual property. And I was like, it's all about competition at the end of the day, and you got to look at it and see how it's going to work in your best interest, right? Now, this can happen, unfortunately, a lot, and if you're not aware of it as a landlord/investor, you might not realize the price was the primary reason for their decision. At times, the decision is primarily made by the potential renters by the easy access and instant gratification, because we are in the easy access, instant gratification digital age. I mean, heck, right now, people are forced to stay at home, so most communication, or darn near all communication, is done via text, via email, via video chat, via whatever. But it's not from a face-to-face standpoint, you know what I mean? So, and that's just one thing a person has to take, landlord, investor has to take into consideration. And unfortunately, a lot of landlords are old-fashioned and do not want to use online platforms like Zillow, Craigslist, and at times the right people to see your listing, or you're not moving fast enough as a landlord or an investor for exciting and yet ready to move in renters. Because a lot of people, that move is in the shaker, especially nowadays. Well, not so much right now, but you know what I mean. In 2020, once this crazy coronavirus crisis is kind of cut off and actually controlled, then hopefully we can get back to some sort of normalcy sometime soon. That's just my personal opinion. But when people are ready to move in, they're ready to move in, and they don't really hear too many excuses. So, that's why you don't have a showing unless your place is ready. Another thing is if your listing is out there over a month, it will definitely have renters wondering why. So always look at your competitors' landlords' rental prices, rates, and go from there. Number two, those that have seen the place that you're trying to rent will ignore price changes. Future tenants can make irrational financial decisions, especially depending on their situation and how desperate they are to actually move out of their mom or dad's or parents' house or something to that effect, right? But at times, depending on the circumstances, this can be to your benefit. like when a tenant is more willing to rent your property because you came across as warm and friendly during the walkthrough and eager to make any reasonable changes as possible. But it can have a negative impact if you overpriced your rental. If a rental takes the cheaper property, they are more than likely to not revisit your property. Even if they haven't signed a lease with the cheaper property, more than likely, they will. It just depends on the circumstances. The article stated that landlords try to attract renters from their smaller pool. The ones that actually try to do that from a smaller pool, they may require you to drop all the way down to $1,000 instead of $1,100 you could have had. It just depends on the numbers, and definitely obviously depends on the market. Last but definitely not least, number 3. Many potential renters will never see your listing. When setting a high price, that immediately makes renters not even want to view your listing. With so many listing platforms like Zillow and Realtor, Redfin, etc., searchers can easily set a price range for themselves. If you're not in that price range, they won't see your property. It's that simple. On listing platforms like Zillow and Realtor, etc., and even Craigslist, searchers can easily set a price range for themselves. If you're not in that price range, they won't see your property. It's that simple. One thing is definitely true. If you're in a renter's market in which there are more quality inventory than potential renters, this can be basically painful in a sense. Okay, every day you can have your listing viewed is definitely critical, as a vacancy is a cash flow killer. We all know that in this business as investors, as landlords. Now remember, all of this is coming from the perspective of a real estate agent / property manager and a couple of investors all at the same time. And we all, as rental property owners and investors, are looking to rent our places as soon as possible so that we can collect our rents to ensure that we are whole, and so that we, can actually purchase more properties and whatnot. So that's another thing to take into consideration. But I will say with all sincerity, anybody that's hurting out there as far as a renter or a landlord or anything of that nature, just keep fighting a good fight. I hope you had cash reserves for this, crisis. I mean, nobody could really predict this, but we know we live in a boom and bust economy. No matter who's in the White House, no matter who's running Congress, no matter who's in your state legislature. So that's why when you're doing good, you're supposed to save, so you don't have to go cry about not getting money from your tenants and whatnot. These things will happen, unfortunately, and you got to be ready for the storm when it comes and be prepared, because I know I'm ready, and I'm actually looking forward to the outcome one. I want everybody to get better. I want this virus to be contaminated, and and hopefully they find a vaccine so that people are not suffering anymore, people aren't dying anymore. So don't get me wrong on that one. But we know a lot of things may happen in regards to real estate prices. A lot of people are going to get their bailout money, and if you are going to get your money, use it to do the right things and put that money back into the economy. Obviously, you're going to be looking out for your best interest, but hey, if you have a contractor working on your house, that's somebody working. If you got a property management company finding a new tenant for your listing, that's somebody working. If somebody's living in your property, then that's somebody that's stable enough to have a job and to be able to have a place to live. So it just all simulates itself all at the same time. And there's so many more factors that can go into this, but I'm just talking about everything in regards to a landlord's perspective. All right, so hold tight, do what you got to do, keep that cash flow going. If you need to, take equity out of your home and just sit on it, and we will get through these rough times. So please give it if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please share, definitely subscribe. If you want to become a member of the Karatbars International family, it's all about buying gold, referring people, making money off your gold and off your referrals, all right? If not, I understand. But hey, take care, be safe, stay inside. If you absolutely do not have to leave the house, I implore you, I beg of you of that, because that's exactly what I'm doing, all right? So take care, family, and I'll see you next time.